Okay, folks. So I want to share a little bit of information once again concerning these solar fields and stuff out here in the Southwest. And they're putting up more. They're adding in more. Now, this particular one here, the Ivanpah one down by Prim, has had some issues in the past, quite a few. Not just that it cost 1.6 billion with a B dollars, and is now getting scrutinized thanks to Trump and what's going on with the whole Trump effect. It's just interesting to to see an update and where they're actually talking about it's actually closing down. This particular plant is closing down. So I'm wondering what is going to happen with all of this stuff here. Because myself personally, I don't think they're destroying it and they're actually getting rid of it. I think all they're doing it with it, is just transferring it over to other newer solar fields that they're putting together. And just in case you're not familiar with it, this is the very large solar fields here, and they got these little mirror things here. And I've done so many videos on this, I feel like I'm being repetitive, but this article here was just published the other day. This was just published yesterday, I believe, was the published date, and they updated it today. But I don't really mean to be repetitive, but I do feel that there are some things that do need to be repeated, because I don't believe that this particular project here that was going on, over by Prim, it had the intention that they claimed. You know what I mean? Because this thing has been. I just I'm getting flustered because I know that I've done so many videos on this, and there are probably some of you subscribers that are tired of hearing me go on and on and on about this. But this is a directed energy weapon system. This is infrastructure for directed energy weapons, folks. It's not so that we can get cleaner, more efficient, and better power and more solar power. This is a infrastructure for directed energy weapons. Okay. And in case you're not familiar with it, in case you hadn't seen some of the many videos I've already done covering this was an article that was posted back in 2013, shortly after this thing went online. And they were burning birds. It was incinerating birds. Okay. And interestingly enough, in 2016, the USGS, of all people, released the video surveillance. And I know I've shown this before, but to some of you that haven't seen it before, you can see they show these little streaks, these little puffs of smoke, okay, on their little surveillance system. And, these are birds and insects getting incinerated in that beam. Okay. So, I mean, for people not to put two and two together and really see what these big solar fields and these solar projects are really about, that you're really just buying that they want to provide us with cleaner, more efficient energy. I mean, is that really the story that everybody is really believing? Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people believing and buying into this, because I'm seeing more and more people around our neighborhood putting these solar panels on their rooftops. And to think that the people in charge of putting together these defensive systems, like directed energy weapons and the infrastructure for it, to think that they would not use and exploit the solar panels on people's rooftops for nefarious purposes is truly ignorant as far as I'm concerned. And you can say, oh, she's dangling way out on that conspiracy tree branch today. Go ahead, because I dangle out on that conspiracy tree branch as far as I can possibly go most times, folks. So I'm just saying. And again, another article here from 2016. Oh, this solar plant accidentally incinerates up to 6,000 birds a year. Okay, so it's taken you now another 10 years for them to finally shut this thing down. And folks, listen, okay, they're not just disposing all of these things into scrapyards. Probably the ones that are worn down and no longer usable are going to, some kind of landfill or something somewhere. But myself personally, they're not just throwing this stuff out. They invested $1.6 billion, okay, with a B, approaching $200 billion, okay. And they're not just going to throw that stuff out. All they're doing is transferring it over to all of these other solar fields they're building up. Okay. This one over here is getting pretty big too. We were just by this one a couple weeks ago. We went out shooting over here by Nelson in the Nelson Hills. And this is growing. It's growing. And they're clearing all of this out to put it all along the side too. So they're not just throwing away all of this stuff from the Ivanpah solar generating system that they put in, that ultimately has been behaving much like a directed energy weapon by incinerating birds that fly into that beam field. They're just transferring it over to all these newer ones they're putting in. And I think that Google is very interesting, because Google will update most things. And this is one of the solar fields just down the street from us. We're over here where the star is at. And, that they're not updating these maps, okay? Because they're filling more of this in. There's more of this photovoltaic solar array field than what Google Maps is showing. So all they're doing is just transferring all of these solar panels and stuff from this one location over here, because it's gotten too much attention. Okay, too many people know about the Ivanpah solar generating field and how it's been incinerating birds. and pretty much anything that comes within the path of that. And if you don't think that they have the capability to position these little mirrors just right so that energy beams direct off in certain directions, let's say over, I don't know, over towards California, miles and miles away, they absolutely can. They absolutely have the capability to use these solar array fields and these photovoltaic solar fields as directed energy weapons. Okay. And that, myself personally, that was why they invested $1.6 billion in loans from the Department of Energy into it. Okay. For Pacific Gas and Electric Company in Southern California Edison, which both entered long-term agreements to buy Ivanpah's power. Okay, well, now that it's not going to be running anymore, supposedly, what are they going to do? What are they going to do with this area over here? Because I think, myself personally, again, another personal opinion, just my opinion, okay, they're supposed to be putting that high-speed rail system through here, right? This has been the talk between Nevada and California for quite a while, for a long time. They've been wanting to put that Brightline super high-speed rail right down the middle of this highway running right here. They've already got all the plans and everything all written up for it. They've already been approved to do the project, and they want to put in a high-speed rail system right down the middle in between these two lanes of highway, in between Nevada and California. Well, it just so happens that it comes right through Prem, and it just so happens to come right by where this solar generating field is at, okay? And you're talking about a high-speed rail, electromagnetic. Think about something like that running through here, and then something happening where it's interacting with the energy that's being generated from this solar electric generating field. Okay, I think that's probably the real reason why they're finally shutting this down, is because they did some studies and they did some tests and they realized that it could have some kind of an interference with running their high-speed rail. Okay, which they've been promising for years. And like I said, it finally got approved and they're finally working on it, but it's not going along as fast as it probably should. And it's probably going to end up being another one of those projects that ends up just, the money just ends up getting filtered away and they end up not completing it. But that's the real reason. Okay, it's not, they're not shutting it down because it's been murdering thousands, tens of thousands of birds every year since it was built. Okay, it's because it's going to interfere with their little Brightline electromagnetic train and rail system that they want to put in. So I just, Trump wants California to clean up forests to stop wildfires, but his administration cut off the funds. What have they done with all of the funds they've already received? Because they've already received lots of funds to help combat the wildfires and things that are going on. Which, by the way, let me just state once again, they have these solar fields all over the freaking place. So what do you think the chances are that it could do other things other than just frying and killing, thousands of birds every year in its beam? You know, it can also cause wildfires, could it not? Could they not direct the energy from these solar fields, from one solar field to another, and just happen to catch something on fire? I mean, where are we going with all this solar stuff, folks? Seriously, because I know there are a lot of people that like solar power and they like it and they use it, and that's fine, whatever. But when we're talking about these very large solar fields and these solar projects and stuff that are going on the large scale, it's infrastructure. All right, it's definitely infrastructure. I'll give it that. There's a half truth going on there, that they're building up the infrastructure to give us a cleaner, more efficient power. That's half truth there. It's definitely infrastructure. But myself personally, it's not to give us power and energy to use as consumers. It's to give power to the DoD and to the Defense Department to add it in as infrastructure for directed energy weaponry. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I don't really care what other people think at this point when it comes to this topic. I think that's pretty clear. But anyway, just a little update for Please Don't Fry Me Friday special report. They are finally closing down the Ivanpah solar field. 1.6 billion. Don't forget, 1.6 billion with a B. Stay safe and mindful, folks. Know that I appreciate you and that you matter very much to me. And happy Valentine's Day.